It's Thanksgiving Day. You're on a time crunch. Wife's still cooking in the kitchen. Father-in-law's watching football. Everybody's expecting there to be some cocktails that you made, and you just don't have time to do it. So what do? You batch a cocktail. Let's go. Welcome back to Old Fashioned Ways. I'm Doc Martinez. I'm going to teach you how to do a batched old-fashioned cocktail. Now, this is a recipe that I did earlier this week, and I fell in love with it. So I decided, why not batch that so everybody gets to try it today, and we get to just have some fun with it, right? I'm going to make it, put it in the fridge, and later on when we're eating or just sitting down watching some football, we can pour some out. So this one's going to be made directly in a glass, right? So I used a $22 bottle, and it was made an amazing old-fashioned. So we're going to use that in today's. This is going to be the base of it as well. Let's start off with this. So pop that open, and we're going to be making, let's say you kind of know pre-measurements, right? So I want to make, let's say 6. So 2, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 more. And you know what? It's almost perfect. I might actually just put it back in this bottle. We'll see at the end if I do that. I have a separate container that I was going to do it in, but sometimes just reuse the bottle you have, right? We'll see. Now this one was my spiced pumpkin pecan old fashioned. Really enjoyed it, really liked it. So next we're going to add some spiced pumpkin pecan, right? Now I know I was using half an ounce for every drink. I want to make 6 drinks. So if I do that, that's 3 ounces total, right? So that's what I'm going to be putting in here. Here's a full 2 ounces on here. Ooh. Just put all the rest of that in there. All that yummy goodness. This has actually been one of my favorite simple syrups I've ever made. So I've used it on a few cocktails for this. So I am excited that I had just enough to make this one as well. Look at the color on that, how nice and dark that looks. Already making yumminess for me. Now, this one also requires some dashes of chocolate bitters, and I'm of course using my friend Gnome's bitters. And normally you use like 2 dashes for each one. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna do a little bit less than that. 2, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, one more, 8. Now let's do one more for Gnome. 9. And the reason I'm cutting this down a little bit is because on the first time I made this, I actually didn't use any pecan bitters, but I used this on another one and I like the flavor of it, so I'm gonna add a little bit of this to it. So we're actually gonna do 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just to add to this. Now you're worried that it's already full, like there's no ice in here. Well, a lot of times when you do make the batches, you add a little bit of ice or a little bit of water to kind of balance it out from that stir. This is an old-fashioned. You don't really have to water it down until you're going to put it over a nice big ice cube, and that's when it gets kind of chilled and cooled down. Stir it in there a little bit, get that little water there. So I'm not adding any water to this batch, okay? I'm not adding any water to this batch. Next was the pumpkin butter, right? So this is a caramel pumpkin butter. It worked perfectly for what I needed. What we did is we actually did 1 big scoop for it. So because I'm doing multiples, I'm actually going to do 4 big scoops of this. Now let's do 1 more. All right, put that in there. Now, if you were to batch this and just kind of leave this with all this in there, it would clump up. It would probably get foggy. So we have a solution for that. So I'll show you that in just a moment. I just want to make sure this is nice and stirred. And the good thing about this is once it's stirred, you can shake it up. You know, if you put it back in this bottle, you can shake it up before you use it. But I have as I said, I have another bottle that I can use for this as well. Oh yeah. So I just want to make sure this is nice and incorporated and stirred here, which is looking really good. Not seeing any clumps, anything on the bottom there. And I just want to make sure it dissolves all of it. All right, so we're going to move this over to the side. And as I said, we're going to strain this, right? We're going to strain this. So this is not big enough to hold what I'm trying to do, right? But I'm going to show you what we're doing. I'm going to start straining it first into this and kind of over this big filter. So if there is any chunks, I catch those chunks there, right? Now we're going to put this over to the side. And the reason I'm doing this is when you first start, it's going to be cloudy as it's going through. And so you want to let that go through a little bit. We add just a little bit more to this. Let that start going. And after a moment of doing this, it'll kind of form a layer on the bottom and it'll start coming out pretty clear. And once you start doing that, you just move it over and you can put it in the other one and then kind of just pour it all back in there. You don't want to waste any of it. And then you want to pour a lot of this over the top of this as well. Now, I'm going to let that kind of go there and we're just going to sit this to the side. Now, I'm going to let this sit here and then we'll be back to kind of finish this off as well. All right, here we are coming to the end of it. So it does take a moment. What I did is I always start with that paper filter to kind of let that go through. And then I also have this one that's a reusable one. But if you don't have a reusable one, just use 2 paper ones. That first one's going to get pretty gunky and filled up. Then I pour through the other one. And I kind of went back and forth. So you probably need more than one of the paper ones, because as it gets gunked up, it comes out super slow. And you know, we're trying to get this ready pretty quick. So, and then after I do it, everything goes through it one time at least. Then I run it one more time, and this one just goes super, super fast. Now, as I said, I do have a container to put this in, and that's what I'm going to do. And so we're just going to pour this in here. This actually smells pretty amazing going in here. I like the smell. We don't want to waste any of it. And there you go. Have enough. Nice, clear, enough for at least 6 old fashions. And yeah, there'll be a little bit left at the bottom as you do it. Just shake it up right before you use it, and you'll be good to go. All right, my friends, get this ready, put it in the fridge, go watch some football, eat some turkey, take a nap on the couch, and wake up and have yourself a delicious old fashioned. To our next journey, my friends, cheers.